We're continuing our topic of replacement analysis, and in the past video we talked about the economic life of the challenger and how to calculate that. Now, what about the economic life of the defender? I've mentioned briefly that the economic life of the defender is typically 1 year. And why is that the case? Well, think about it this way. We talked about the fact that, sorry, technology issues, there we go. Your typical um, the typical asset, sorry, I lost my words. The typical asset will have, if we're only looking at the cost is going to start, let's say, up here, go like that, and then go up. So this point right here, this is the economic life. So let's say, for argument's sake, that this is year 3. So that means this is 2, this is 1, 4, 5, 6, and maybe it has a life of 7, and at 7 that's it, right? So what happens is usually, let's say that we've had our defender for 3 years or for 4, but for now let's say 3. So at year 3 I'm going to start thinking, well, should I be replacing it? So I'm going to have a replacement, and this replacement is going to have a life of its own. Let's assume it's the same life. It doesn't have to be, but let's assume it's the same life. And if that's the case, this one is as well going to have its own curve. So let's say that this one's more like that. So it looks like the economic life is somewhere between year 2 and 3. I actually meant that to be 2. So let's assume that that's the 2. And that means that the economic life of the challenger is 2 years. So economic life equals to 2 years. Whereas, and this is EUAC versus years, EUAC. Whereas for the defender, it was 3 years, but now we ignore this because this is a sunk cost, and we're looking at only this, and we're kind of renumbering this into now this is year 1 and 2 and 3, just like they are down here. That means that its economic life is 1 year, because at 1 year, it's not that it gets minimized, it's that it's going to keep going up. So each year it gets higher, so we're only looking at 1 year at a time. Now the question is, once I figure out what this quantity is, I'll know that I ideally could keep my challenger for 2 years, but that doesn't matter. What matters is, do I replace my defender, and for how long, right? So it won't be, well, obviously if this is 1 year and this is 2 years, this one wins. That has nothing to do with it. Let's say that this right here is $2,000. Well, no, and this is a bad example because I actually need more information than to be making up stuff on the spot. But what I'm going to compare this to, this quantity, these $2,000, is the marginal cost data of my defender. So if my marginal cost data for year 1, my new year 1, is less than that, let's say it's 1,000, that's telling me to keep my defender for that year. What if in year 2 it's 1,500? Keep it for that year too. But what if in year 3 it goes to 2,200? Well, here it passed my 2,000, and that tells me keep your challenger for 2 years, and on the 3rd year you switch over to the challenger. Okay? And the challenger then starts this process. I know it's a little complicated, but it's not that bad, I promise. We're going to see a full example here coming up. So if a major overhaul is needed, the life yielding the minimum EUAC is likely the time to the next major overhaul. If the market value is 0 and operating expenses are expected to increase, that's another reason why it would be 1 life for the defender, or 1 year for the defender, the economic life. So here's the key statement. The defender should be kept as long as its marginal cost is less than the minimum EUAC of the best challenger, okay, or the challenger. Memorize this line. This is key right here. We're going to come back to that. Some replacement cautions. If a defender is kept beyond where the TC exceeds the minimum EUAC of the challenger, the replacement becomes more urgent. Rapidly changing technology bringing about significant improvement in performance can lead to postponing replacement decisions. When the defender and challenger have different useful lives, this is again key, this is going to be a key. Often the analysis is really to determine if now is the time to replace the defender. Repeatability or cotermination can be used where appropriate, and we're going to talk about this later a little more, but repeatability for the defender is not something that we can easily assume because, well, the whole point is, like, we only have information about the present and the future, potentially not the past, and if we're going to repeat it, we would need to know information about the past. Anyway, long story short, cotermination is usually a better option, or we can do repeatability for the challenger, assuming that we can get rid of the defender before it runs out of its useful life, which we probably will. All right, so here we have this really lengthy example, and I'm only going to cover potentially 1 or 2 questions in this video, so that the video doesn't exceed the limit of the videos that I can post. But anyway, let's get into it. It says a new truck requires an investment of $30,000 and is expected to have the following market values and expenses. So here you see it, the market values and the expenses. If the MAR is 10%, what is the asset's economic life? So we know how to do this. We've done it before, but let's do it again. And I'm going to go over to a blank, this blank space. Okay, so my table is going to look like this. So end of year, K. We're going to call our years K. Market value at the end of K. Loss in market value. During year K. So this is during. So watch out. During K. Because it's not going to be, you'll see here in a minute what I say. Cost of capital. And this is at the beginning of the year market value. Okay, annual expenses. Sorry about the handwriting at the top of the screen, it gets distorted. My marginal cost. This is typically TC for year K. And here is the EUAC through K. Remember how we calculated that? If you don't remember, make sure to check that out. Okay, so let's do a table. All right, so we have years 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 because that's the information that I was provided. This was given to me, so this is 30,000. This is 22,500. This is 16,875. This is 12,750, 9,750, and 7,125. I'm also given annual expenses of 3,000, 4,500, 7,000, 10,000, and 13,000. My capital cost is 10%, so that's my MAR. I'm filling this out first because that's information that I have. So I'm going to use a different color to, let's see, that green, to do the tables, the parts that I need to fill out. So the loss, so this is loss in market value, is this minus that, and we put it right here. So 30,000 minus 22,500 is 7,500. 22,500 minus 16,875 is 5,625. I'm just going to continue Make sure to do the work on your own so that you know that you can do this. Cost of capital at the beginning of the year market value. This is the percentage that I lost by not having invested my money, but it's going to be from the previous period. So this is 10% of 30,000 is 3,000. 10% of 22,500 is 22 or 2,250, so on and so forth. So 1687.5, 1275, and 975. Okay, and we don't put anything down here. Here in marginal cost, I'm going to add this column, and this column. So this gives me 13,500. This gives me 12,375, 12,813, 14,275, and 16,600. And my EUAC, remember that for 1 year, so for year 1, it is just going to be, well, that's going to be the same amount. Let's do it for year 2. For year 2, I am going to have 13,500 P given F 10 1 plus 12,375, which I got from here, P given F 10 2, this times A given P 10 2. And this is equal to 12,964, so 12,964. Let's do for through, so this is what that means, through, not for year 3, but through year 3. This is going to be, well, the same beginning, so you should see the pattern really quickly. Plus 12,375, P given F, 10 2, plus 12,813, P given F, 10 3, times A given P, 10 3, and this is equal to, let's see, 12,918. 12,918. And if I do that again for through year 4 through year 5, I'm going to get the following numbers: 13,211 and 13,766, which means my economic life is right here, by very little, by the way. It's very little difference, but this is economic life. Great. Now the next question says, you want to know how much longer to keep the current truck. So right now we said the new truck, so we just investigated that we just found out that the economic life is 3 years and the EUAC is equal to 12,918. Now you want to know how much longer to keep the current truck for before it is replaced by the Challenger. The data was provided above. The Defender is now 2 years old. It originally cost $19,500 and currently has a market value of $7,500. If kept, these are the market values and expenses that can be expected. Now before we go again and solve this problem, think about this. This $1,900, is it really relevant at this point? No, that's a sunk cost from the past. All I can do now is use this information to calculate my marginal costs. So let's do that. Okay, let's use another one. So to calculate the marginal cost data of Defender, well, let's do the same table. It says end of year market value, loss in market value, cost of capital, which is 10%, annual expenses, which is E sub K, and my TC. Sorry if I'm being messy. I think I'm being quick on purpose. Hopefully you can slow this down a little bit. But the video is getting a little long. 3, 4, we only have this much information. This is information I was given. So the 19,000 or whatever was irrelevant. All that matters is the market values that I was given. 4,500, 3,000, 1,500. My loss in market value seems to be, oops, this is something I can calculate. My expenses, before I fill that out, this was given 8,250, 9,900, 11,700, 13,200, and then let me fill in these numbers. 1,500, 1,500, 1,500, and 1,500 is my loss of market value. This minus that minus that, right? 10% of the previous period, well, we have 750, we have 600, 450, 300, and then I'm going to add these 3 columns to get the following: 10,500, 12,000, 13,650, and 15,000. Now the question is when to replace. Okay, so remember that the EUAC at the minimum cost life for Challenger was 9, or was it 9? Oh, 12,918. I remember the 9. So we compare. Which one's less? Which one's small? Which one's lesser? I'm tired. Which one is least costly? At this point, we keep the Defender. It's less. Then we compare with this number, which is smaller. Well, we still keep the Defender. But once I look at this, I see, well, this is greater than that, and this is when I use my Challenger. That means keep Defender for 2 more years. Then replace. Excellent. Okay, we have a third question in that problem, which had to do with what if the period of service was 4 years, but we're going to address that in the next video.